Hey everyone, I'm Michael,
And I'm Abby.
and welcome to season 2 of the Pricing Guys. We're excited to start off the second season with you. You'll notice we've changed a couple things. I am now on this side, and Abby's on that side. So
Whole new perspective that we're bringing for season 2.
absolutely, always look at pricing problems from multiple perspectives. So we thought we'd kind of change it up. But we have a couple of changes that are coming up this season. So we're going to be doing a couple of different types of shows. And I think the biggest thing, Abby, is we're going to have some interviews.
We're going to have some interviews. We're going to continue to talk about current events and also bring some intellectual stuff around pricing.
So I think what we wanted to do for the first go of season 2 here is we want to talk a little bit about discounting. It's been a hot topic. A lot of our clients have been asking us what's kind of, how we think about it. I think we see a general uptick in what's happening in discounting, not even in our client work, but in market as well. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about what those hidden costs of discounting are and how we see pricing teams and executive teams kind of managing those discounts and those conversations.
Yeah, discounts it's an interesting one because, there's been a lot of talk about fentanyl recently.
Okay.
And
I didn't think you were going to go there. But cool.
I think of it as like it's the crack cocaine of business, right? Once you're on it, it's so hard to get off of it.
Yeah.
And you fiend for it, especially companies that are publishing actual performance reports out there. Because as soon as you have it in your base and you put some of that money out into the market and it drove some growth, you have to get back that high.
Oh, you got to lap it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we do as some of our listeners might know, we do an executive pricing survey. And we saw that in the last year, and when it's actually going to come out, we're doing another cut now, but in 2025, we saw people actually increasing price, but they're increasing discount as well, like above and beyond. So they're giving some of that price back, but it's interesting because you're right. It's like, well, I got some of this volume or I won some of these deals. I got to lap that now, right? And I got to continue to lap that. So how do you do that? Like you increase the discount or you give more discount, right?
I think you touch on two really interesting points. The first is, as you talk about, almost habitually, every company we go to, they talk about, we're taking regular price adjustments. And then when we look at their financials, you're right. We look at the actual price adjustment that was driven to the bottom line.
But that's structurally a flaw, though, because people talk about frontline price and nobody, or very few people, I shouldn't say nobody, very few people that I see talk about net price. A lot of times they don't even know their net price. If we think about more traditional, like revenue management pricing industries like consumer goods or airlines, they'll know that, but it's funny. I do a lot of work in software, as you know, and like sometimes like nobody understands what their net price is to that customer. They don't even understand kind of what they're paying. So
just big is the complexity. There's so many tiers, so many groupings.
People are just talking about it on July, just talking about it at a super high level.
Yeah. And that's the first piece, right? Discounting, you're often not looking at it as granularly as you should to get back into the net price. But the second area is for the customers that you've given it to, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
like the drugs for dang shoe, right?
Well, I'm not even sure it's a drug because we've established that as reality for them, as this is what the true value is of our offer or service. It's not necessarily that, hey, this was a special discount for you and it was a one-time thing. No, they see that brand or product or service. This is where you did command in the market and you've set my expectation on a go-forward basis. This is how we're going to transact now.
Yeah, what was that story? You were telling me a story the other day about you went to the drugstore.
Yeah.
You said that you saw like some ridiculous discount.
It was interesting. And they had a hot deal on batteries. It was a full tank of batteries. And the 4-pack of batteries was and granted, this is a drugstore, but the regular price was $11.99. And they had gone on promo, and the promo was for $3.50. And this was a big brand out there. This was like one of the big brands that were out there. And I was like thinking to myself, like, it just looks laughable. at this point, because obviously you're not going to sell anything on base anymore on this, but you're totally training consumers never to buy this product unless we see a sticker over it. Or even worse, as I'm in this store and I look at that one product, I'm now trained that I shouldn't buy anything within this store unless I see that red tag on it, that it's not going to be competitive.
See, but that brings up an interesting point, because I think, how much does channel play in this? Because I think about batteries, and like, great example. But when was the last time you bought batteries? Like, have you bought batteries on Amazon? They are so cheap. Like, for like that, like whatever, 8, but you could probably get a box of like 50, right?
Yeah.
So like, thinking about like what role does channel play, or are they just, when we think about what that discount plays, are they just trying to compete in a place that they aren't competitive anymore?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because sometimes people are using the discounts to compensate for value gaps, right? Or they're no longer relevant in certain markets, so they're no longer relevant to certain customers. I think one of the really interesting things, and I know we've kind of talked about B2C, is B2B. And
Hold on, but before you get to B,
okay,
I think one thing I want to kind of call out on that channel, and here's how I was thinking about it. If you are buying batteries at a drugstore, you probably really, really need batteries, because Amazon will get it to you like the next morning for like fraction of the price. So my question is like, if I'm at the drugstore and I really need like 4 batteries, why am I even discount? Like, are we just throwing money on the table? Because that person, they're gonna need batteries. Are they gonna buy the batteries anyway? Now, if you could have put it up to $20, they're gonna buy that.
Forced me to tell my story. So the reason I was out buying batteries in the first place was, like, all the fire alarms in the house are hooked up together, and when one is running low on batteries, they all kind of go off and they kind of beep intermittently. So it's like craziness. So
that's probably like, I'm just telling you, that's like not normal. You should probably get that checked out.
Well, we're super safe. Yeah. As soon as this thing started, like it went on for like 2 hours. I'm like, okay, I can't deal with this anymore, and ran out to the closest place, and it was a drugstore. And I'm like, I was gonna buy those batteries irrespective, right? So it was a total new need.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like, but why even need that discount?
Honestly, the discount at that point in time, it made it much more conscious for me that I'm like, oh, this is like totally, I shouldn't be running into this place unless it's absolutely, but it's great I got the discount.
But I think like that is a perfect example, like that, hey, we're on this drug, we think this discount is helping. Like, let's be honest. Like, so what was the final price for 4 batteries?
I think it was like 99. Oh, the final price I had is like $350, I think.
Like, I think if you're like, you're not going to compete with Amazon at the end of the day, right? Like
100%.
Like that's a place who, like, is that discount even doing anything? But I think you're right. It's like that drugstore is probably hooked on like, well, we got to get the discount, we got to get the volume, we got to.
No, 100%. I guarantee you, internally, they're looking at that and saying, look, the supplier funded at this level, and we've got like I'm sure it's like a 1,600% lift or something like that. And this was a drastic success. And then we start to talk about things like, okay, I talk about the customer's perception that happened there. Now I'm thinking about whether I should even shop in this place unless it's an absolute need base. If I am in this place, well, I'm going to look for those red tags much more aggressively now, because I know it's so inflated. Like, but you're looking at it with this micro scale around, we got this uplift. What are you doing to customer lifetime value? What are you doing to your competitive positioning and your channel relevance? And to your point, as you get to thinking about like, the Amazon, if that is like truly a competitor, like, what is your strategy? Who are you trying to compete with? Now, I don't want to miss this, because on the B2B.
Yes, B2B. Let's go back to B2B.
B2B. Now we look at B2B, and often what I hear is, you know what, the market is so opaque, and people can't see, or customers can't see the discounts that I give to other customers. So we have much more leverage to provide it. Now, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think it's just as dangerous of a game. And I think like when I think about B2B, I think about it from, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about customer lifetime value. And I see this like in software all the time, where like if I have like a price of, let's call it like $100 a seat, they're like, oh, I got to close a deal, maybe be a bit more competitive in market. And I'm drop it down to, let's say, 70. So I give a 30% discount. Well, what do you think is going to happen on the renewal? Like that, you have now benchmarked that person to 70% of the value that's kind of there versus I think there are other ways in which you can derive value. Like, it's not rocket science in software. It's like, hey, don't drop the price. Just give them a couple more seats, right? Or give them some kind of value add in terms of, additional support or additional features. Like there's tons of ways to kind of go about it. But I think you got to, like the bigger thing in B2B is the second you benchmark that price, and usually it's a bigger deal, right? Like nothing against batteries, but like, you know what, if the smoke alarms are off again, you're probably going back and buying the expensive batteries, like no problem. But like when you're talking about contracts that are tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars, the second you benchmark low, like you're in trouble, right? Because now you have to have a big story to change that price.
Yeah, and where I really want to end at is, we might say B2B is more opaque, but when we look at it, the benchmark you need to be worried about is the benchmark you're setting internally. Because your sales teams, hey, we did a deal at that level and we closed it. Now that is the new benchmark you are going to gauge against internally. And that's really what companies should be focused on. Because I know we always say, we're going to do it this one time. One time is never enough.
I think the other thing that's interesting on the B2B side is like, what are you getting for that trade-off? So are you getting a bigger contract, more volume, more term, a longer relationship, exclusivity? Like there should be a trade-off to the discount that you're actually giving versus what I see a ton of the time is, what is this? Oh, it's like discretionary discount, or it's like, I would call it maybe like archaic discounts that are tied to like, payment terms or like rebate program. Like there's one I remember years ago, and it was a company, and like we were looking at their like channel partner program, and they had like a rebate program, and we're like, okay, well, like what is this for? And they're like, oh, like these guys, they've been like, we've been working with them for like 25 years. Awful customer, like just horrible relationship, but like the guy's like, it was a family business. So the guy's like the dad's negotiated this like rebate like quarter century ago, and it was still in place, like this discount, but no one was questioning it. No one was looking at it saying, what does it actually drive? What is the benefit? But you had benchmarked that in, and it had became so difficult to get out because it was just ingrained in the legacy.
So our marketing guy told us that we need to close off these podcasts in a new and innovative way. I know you've been working on something.
Man, you totally stole my joke. I was going to make that joke. Disappointed. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So we're going to try a couple things throughout the season, and we'll see, maybe by the end, something will catch on and we'll have something, but let's try the first one here. And we're ended by saying that's all we have for today. We hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure that you catch the next one.
Appreciate it. And please submit your topics that you'd like us to discuss.
Thanks for your time, everyone.